Delighted to welcome the Gibraltar Genius again. Charlie McCann is with us, looking ahead to a bit of footy, but mainly the weekend's racing. The feature would have to be the 1,000 guineas in Ireland, would it, Charlie?
Yeah, it would. I think it's a sort of below par renewal. Albania is the one for money. Again, she's the one that her jockey Shane Foley was interviewed on racing television earlier this week, and as soon as Gary O'Brien, who was out there interviewing him, mentioned this horse Albania of Jessica Harrington's, you could see the smile come over his face, and he really do. There is a lot of confidence behind this filly. I just think that the form of that Marcel Boussac, she won a Grade 1 in France, and she was well on top at the end. But Marietta, who finished second, I just don't think the form's that good. And at the likely prices, and I also don't think a draw in stall 13 is that good for the filly. I've gone and taken a bit of a punt on one. It's a horse called Rednazor, I think it is, of Mick Halford's. Once raced filly. The form of the yard, they've not had a winner since racing started, but she won a race. Just listen to this. She won a race last year on debut at Leopardstown, and she fractured a pastern during the race. Still won.
She what?
She fractured, a pastern, part of a leg, down and she was operated on the next day, because they wanted to get more experience into her, have a second run as a juvenile. So she couldn't do that. She's back training well. I think she will be the best horse amongst these in time. Halford wanted to get a prep run into her this season, but of course, because of lockdown, etc., because of the COVID, and there hasn't been time to get one. So I really do think that she might represent the value, the horses that the so wonderful and peaceful of Aidan O'Brien. They have solid form, but it was interesting. Love, who beat Albania at the Curragh in the Moyglare Stakes last year. She of course came over last weekend and was a very impressive winner of the 1,000 guineas. She foiled our very, very big price double. It would have been nice to have 14 to 1 and 12 to 1 winners of the guineas, but Love, I think, is the best of them. Now, again, the fact that Aidan is mob-handed in the 1,000 guineas would suggest to me he probably hasn't got a start other than Love. I think they know the pecking order. I think there could be a shock in this race, and that's why I've gone with the once raced. I think it's called Rednazar, is it? Sorry, mate.
Have a look, Charlie. You know me. Rednazar. What price will that be?
14 to 1, 16 to 1.
Brilliant. Okay, where else are you looking over the weekend?
Sandown, Doncaster, Goodwood on Sunday. If I could just put one up in the Cocked Hat Stakes, which is a traditional, it's not one of the great sort of Derby trials, but a horse called Celestron of its second favourite. It's only 4 go to post for the race. It's second favourite, Celestron of Sir Michael Stout's. I'm quite keen on 2 horses from the same race at Yarmouth, which was the first turf race back, and they run within half an hour of each other. One is called Bodyline in the 3:25 race on Sunday at Goodwood, called Bodyline of Sir Mark Prescott. That's up £3 to finish in second. That horse, I think, will appreciate the step up from 10 furlongs to this very near 1.5 mile trip. At a mark of 85, I would be. There's a horse in that called Gibraltar that is running well. It's from Ed Ware, is the owner. Ed sold his business 32 Red for, let's say, a couple of bob, and so Ed's bought a number of horses, all with he's got one horse running. He's had a number of horses run very well recently without sort of hitting striking gold. And I think Bodyline will win the 3:25 on Sunday at Goodwood. And half an hour later, Celestron will win the Cocked Hat Stakes for Sir Michael Stout. On Saturday, I'm quite keen on a horse called Lazuli in the sprint. Don't want too much rain, because that will take into account there's a fascinating ex-Irish runner called Sunday Sovereign in the King Power colours that runs. But I hope Lazuli, who travelled really well over 6 furlongs at Newmarket last weekend, think the stop back to 5 furlongs will suit him in the 5 furlong listed race. And I think it might be a good day for a Sheen Murphy at Doncaster. I think there's a horse certainly there called Publicist that he rides, which I'm quite sweet on. And also a horse called Joyful Mission, another stout horse, which I think 10 furlongs, decent ground, that should be ideal for him. But if I was giving one for Saturday and Sunday, I think it would be Bodyline in the 3:25 at Goodwood on Sunday.
That's fantastic. We'll be looking at Royal Ascot. You'll be back with us next week, which is going to be fascinating. Of course, the Premier League football starts again. We'll be having a look at that as well. You've got the La Liga's back. Obviously, Germany's been back with us. Italian football. Is there anything football-wise over the weekend that you've been looking at?
Yeah, the fascinating thing about Real Madrid, here we are. They're out of the Copa del Rey. They lost the first leg of the Champions League, of course, to Manchester City 2-1, although they played well. And, of course, they beat Barcelona in El Clasico 3 days later. And they play Eibar. Now, Eibar aren't much cop. It's as simple as that. And they lost 5-0 in the Nou Camp on the 22nd of February. I think Real Madrid to win to 0 on, I think that's Saturday evening they're playing. I think that's...
It is, yes.
Yeah, I think they're playing in the Bernabeu. So I thought that was over. It's just slightly over even money, 11-10. I think that the Whites, this is a massive, you've got to remember Barcelona have won the league, I think, certainly the last 2 years, maybe 4 out of the last 5, or it will be 4 out of the last 5 if they win the league this year. They're 2 points ahead. Fortunately, as I say, Real Madrid, but Real Madrid have only won that game in the last 5 before the break going into the global pandemic. Massive game this for a massive period, these last 7 or 8 games for Zidane. That would be one for me. And also, I don't want to pick on Schalke and David Wagner and John Joe Kenny, but I think Leverkusen, who of course play Bayern now in the German Cup final on July the 4th. Yes. I know they didn't beat much midweek, but I think that they've got a lot of goals in their team. And Schalke, of course, it will be an unwanted club record, 13 games in the Bundesliga without a win if they get beat. They play, Schalke play at home to Leverkusen on Sunday, and I really do fancy Leverkusen. 6-4 -1 on the handicap. That is the recommendation. So 2 football bets, Leverkusen -1, Real Madrid to win to 0 on Saturday evening. And so looking forward to the Premier League as well.
Absolutely. We'll catch up with you. We'll catch up with you in the week ahead of Royal Ascot and also the return of the Premier League. Thanks as always. Great seeing you. Everybody gamble responsibly, be gamble aware. And Charlie, thanks a lot, mate. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Bye now. Thanks,
Cheers.
Rob.